Because we still have presenting.
I don't think we are presenting today.
We're presenting it until next one.
Yeah.
Sounds good. What's your next? Don't worry about it.
What?
It's not ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I always check that out at the beginning of the year and then I don't return it till the
Oh,
end
it
of
does
the year.
say, but we didn't receive a report from you.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's not.
Gotcha.
Okay, we'll just, no report.
Perfect. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular school board meeting. It is Tuesday, November 28th, 7 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes, just a note though that our high school ASB report will be next month. We do not have that this month.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Mokel this evening. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries to excuse Mr. Mokel 4-0. Communications, item 5, communications response to public comment.
At the school board meeting on November 14th, the parent expressed concerns about student bullying. Response to public comment is to follow the law regarding students' rights and parents' rights to privacy. The district is not able to provide a public response to a specific incident of student bullying. Students' rights and private rights are protected by federal law, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. The superintendent did schedule a meeting with the parent and family to get more information about the incident and to listen to parent concerns. That meeting was held yesterday. The school district is committed to providing a safe learning environment for all students, and the district will continue to focus on improvements in regarding to student bullying, including documentation and follow-up. And that's the response.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. So item 5B is will be next month for the ASB report. 5C, school board recognition.
All right. Well, we have outgoing members here. We recognize Mark Mokel for 2 years of service at the last board meeting. He's not able to attend tonight. And then now we'd like to recognize Dave Jager, 8 years of service for the West Valley School Board, but also many years of service as administrator for West Valley. So we have a nice plaque here for Dave, and we'd like to present Dave with that plaque right now. So congratulations, Dave.
Thank you.
Say a few words if you like.
I get to say some words.
If you want, or you can wait till board reports.
Well, I want to say some words. And I wrote this out so I wouldn't forget it. The West Valley School District is not a mirror of Fox News. We don't have litter boxes in the hallways of our secondary schools. If you hear something about what's going on at West Valley School District, please call the school principal or central office and ask them what's going on rather than believe the rumors. This came up in the last month or so as I was picking up my signs and stuff, that people were saying, well, the new school board will make sure that we don't have litter boxes in the secondary schools for the kids who are gender identify as cats. That is so untrue, and yet it is believed by people in our school district. It makes me really sad to hear that, and I really wish that people, if you have a question, call up Peter Finch or the principals and find out what's really going on rather than perpetuating Fox News rumors. Secondly, I think our school board meetings need to have a change. And Michael has heard this from me before. I think during the open sessions or open talks, at least on one of them, that the school board members should have the opportunity to ask clarifying questions. We've had situations in the past, quite recently, where I think people who I know are really good people were not portrayed as they really were by parents, and those statements were left unanswered, unclarified. And I think the school board should, in one of their 2 sessions, have the opportunity when a person says something about a staff member or about a policy, that a school board member should have the right to ask clarifying questions. Our current policy is we sit here and we listen. And then in 2 weeks, Peter Finch responds, as he did tonight, about what happened 2 weeks ago. The problem is that in those 2 weeks, people believe whatever was said was true. And oftentimes, by the time Peter responds to the question, other people have forgotten it. I think we need to have the opportunity to question and ask clarifying questions of people when they come up here and say things about especially our staff members, who I think the statements were totally untrue. And yet we have to sit here and listen to them. Third, and this is my last one, Jim Fannin and I worked for 13 years together, and Fannin always had 3 points. And sometimes he had to really work to get that third one. But so I have 3 points. My third point is it's been a really interesting 8 years. It's been a frustrating 8 years at times because as a principal, I could be much more direct. As a school board member, I have to be very careful about what I say. Mike Thorner tells me oftentimes, no, you can't do that. But it's our job is to work with the superintendent, and our job is to hire a superintendent and then direct a superintendent, and I guess that's fine. But I really think, especially in this last 2 years with the discussion about what to do with the $19 million, that we really did a great job as a community and as a school board to discuss that situation. And it showed that when you have an open discussion, you really get a feeling for the community and for the school board. And I wish we could have that more often. As I leave, I'm frustrated, but I'm very pleased because I know that we're going to have some roofs that leaked, including the middle school. Every time in the middle school, as I was principal, heavy rain, we had water drip in. My custodians had buckets set aside, and they knew where to put them. Hopefully, as part of this $12.5 million money that we're putting into the schools, we're going to fix those roofs. We're going to fix leaky pipes at the junior high. We're going to replace a 50-year-old bleacher set at the junior high. And we're going to fix the football field, track, make a soccer field, finally let our soccer kids play on a field where the people can sit in the stands and watch equally as they do with football and track. And also, we're going to have the opportunity for people like me to walk up in the stands and not have to fall over steps because we're going to make them handicapped accessible. I am really proud of that part. I'm frustrated with a few other things, but I'm really proud that we have made the decision to improve our school district. And especially next fall, I'm going to love to walk into that football field and see the changes made there. And that's going to make my 8 years of discussing, arguing, sitting back and saying, okay, and all of that worthwhile. So thank you very much for allowing me for this 8 years. I've loved it. And thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Dave. All right, next we're going to recognize Mike Meyer, and this is the original plaque, Mike. It says, committed to the students and community since 2001, presented January 2002. So there's 22 years of service here, and this is that original plaque. Really appreciate your guidance through the tenure that I've had with the West Valley School District, and really honored to present you with this plaque for 22 years of service. Mike Meyer. Yeah, you can say a few words if you like.
Well, Mr. Jaeger covered a lot of things. I'm not going to. I didn't sit down and write out anything. I can tell you it's been a up and down road, very rewarding and satisfying at times and very challenging and disappointing at times. But that's part of life and we all go through it. And, you know, they say what doesn't kill you makes you tougher. I'm not so sure that's true. Makes you tireder and ready to go do something else once in a while. So I think, you know, it's kind of a bittersweet evening in that saying goodbye to everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces. And I won't be completely absent and disappear from existence. I'll be around. Come to the meetings and, you know, I'm very proud of what this board and boards, sat on a few of them now, have accomplished for the district and for our students. And I just hope and pray that the new board will continue to do the same thing. Put our students first and work for what's best for them. And with that, thank you very much.
All right, congratulations. So, Mr. Thorner, we do have some cake and it looks like some lemonade and coffee back there. We are in the library, so we should be careful about this carpet, but I would suggest maybe taking a recess and we could have some cake and celebrate these board members as their last board meeting.
All right, we will take about 10 minutes. And then we'll stand in recess and we'll come back at about 20 after the hour. So
So everyone in the audience is welcome to have some cake here. We've got a nice big cake back there. And Stephanie's going to cut some pieces for us. No one had signed up for public.
Okay. All right, we'll resume the meeting, and I'd just like to publicly say that I appreciate us being able to have tonight. But thank you, and I know that Mr. Strong and I, a little bit later, will have some personal remarks that we'd like to make to our outgoing school board members. So thank you. On to item 6, public comment period. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. This is a time for the board to receive comment from any member of the public on any topic that they would like. We have a sign-in sheet, but I understand that nobody has signed up, but that doesn't mean that anybody can't come up and speak. Speakers are asked to keep their remarks brief and to about 3 minutes if possible. Public comments are not the forum to address specific concerns concerns about a specific staff member. If you have a concern about a specific staff member, you are encouraged to contact Dr. Finch or make an appointment to see Dr. Finch to address those concerns. So with that, even though we don't have anybody signed up for public comment, I'll open it up at this time for public comment. Seeing that nobody is jumping up, I will close the public comment period. On to item 7, which is the approval of the consent agenda. As per our usual custom, we have approval of minutes from past school board meetings, approval of vouchers and payrolls, financial reports, approval of employment contracts, approval of resignations, separations, and retirements, approval of leave requests, and that is all of the consent agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay. Mr. Jager makes the motion. We'll let Mr. Meyer have the next one. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries 4-0 on the consent agenda. Item 8, action items, which is just one approval of, we have 5 travel requests. And we can take those as a group. We can take them one by one, whatever the board pleases at this time. Or I'd entertain a motion to approve as a group.
I move to approve as a group.
Thank you, Mr. Jager. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries on the travel request 4-0. Item 9, items arising.
I'd just like to share, it was really great to see on the homepage of the Yakima Herald Republic website, a wonderful article that was written by Magnus Fulton here, our student representative of the board. And it's a profile of Master Sergeant Greg Bynum, who is our teacher for JROTC and our photography class. So if you haven't seen that article, it's just a really nice job by Magnus. And Magnus, thank you for highlighting just a wonderful staff member here at the high school. And you did a really nice job on the article. So thank you, Magnus.
I just have one item arising, and it's more to just remind myself and Dr. Finch to make sure that we get it on the agenda at some point, which is to circle back around on the student attendance issue.
Yes.
I know that administration has been working on some identification issues and the like. So I just wanted to make sure that that's not slipped off our radar. I know it hasn't, but I just wanted to bring that up. Any other items? All right. Item 10, reports. We have administrative reports, enrollment report, safety report, travel log, and PBIS report for November. Anything to add, Dr. Finch, or any questions from the board?
Nothing to add for me.
I would just have to say that I really appreciate the effort put in by the principals and Richard Pryor to give us information on what's going on. And I asked Peter about this, and he said it is public. It is on the public forum. so the public can see these too. You get a really good idea of what's happening at every school. And if you have elementary kids, you can see what's going on at the middle school, at the junior high, high school. It gives the parents a really good idea of the whole spectrum and what we're working on. And I'm really appreciative of the time that these principals put in to do this.
Maybe another chance here. Stephanie Smith is unrecognized usually for her work, but the reason they're available for the public to see is the great work that Stephanie does to be behind the scenes, put the board packet together, to have the public board packet available, and to have all those reports there for us. So appreciate, Stephanie, your work on that.
Yes, thank you. I do have one question on the reports, and maybe it's probably best, I should have just asked Mr. Conley directly a second ago, but in the report for Mountain View, we were having a little issue getting into the portables. Is that still the case? Still waiting on the county? Okay.
Right. So yeah, the way we've had a workaround is that music is being have a shared space right now with the library. So they're able to have the library available for kids to check out books, and then also a certain part of the day it's being used for music class. Our music teacher is part-time at Mountain View, so that allows for us to have the part-time music class there. But eventually it will be in the portable as soon as we have occupancy.
Pardon me, did I read correctly that it's the fire marshal that needs to come out? I'm sorry. Okay, so it's not the fire marshal. Okay, so we're just, okay. All right. No, if there's anything that I can do, let me know. I'm a little disappointed. Not in our staff. I'm disappointed that we're in a holding pattern. So, but to Dave's point a second ago, one of the things that's really great about the report is the resiliency of our staff to make it work while they're waiting. But anyway, if there's anything that I can do and make a phone call or something, let me know. Okay.
I guess this is a time to ask Joe another question. Are we about done with COVID money?
Yes, it's the last year of this. This is the last year.
Okay. We're right now, compared to last year, we're $1 million ahead on our general fund.
That's correct.
It's hard to tell how far ahead or behind we are because we don't know if we are getting reimbursed or we have already got all our reimbursements or.
As far as the grant application, no, we haven't gotten all of them. We did a reimbursement request for title and some of our ESSER money, but not all of them. So it's going for some of the grants to be approved. So once the grants go through the approval process, then we can start doing claims again. So it takes a little bit of time.
So I see that we're $1 million ahead from last year. It's actually that we're a little bit farther ahead than that. Do you think?
We could be. Obviously apportionment is different, so every apportionment.
Well, I just look month to month.
It does. It's like this. I wish it was across, but that's just not the way it works. So I don't want to give you a false that says we're a little bit more ahead until I actually see the grant things go through.
Okay. But Peter, we are ahead. We have 150 more kids than we thought.
Yeah, the enrollment report is there. I'm not sure if it's 150, but enrollment is, we did come in higher than we had budgeted for, and that's a good position to be at, especially with the regionalization money that's going to be eliminated this year. We had to advocate with the legislature last spring. Originally, they were going to cut it 100% in 1 year, and they reduced it 50% during this year, and then another 50% coming up next year. So, we'd have concerns with the budget, but it is good to be in the position that we're at, where we have more students than we had budgeted for. And there's other districts that are not in that position, so it's a good position that we're in.
But I read the article about Yakima, and we're not in the same position as Yakima. We're actually gaining students compared to their losing students,
Yeah, that's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
Thank goodness.
Thank you. On to item 11, superintendent's report.
I really appreciate the board approving this travel so that Heidi Sutton and Kristen Williams and myself could travel to Washington, D.C. for the ceremony of the Blue Ribbon School. There were actually some great professional learning sessions that they had set up. There were job alikes. Really, one of the best was hearing from the Secretary of Education saying, you principals out there, you're leading the best schools in the nation. You're doing a great job. It was great for Heidi to hear that. And I think it was really like a peak experience for our staff to be there and to hear such positive things. So just really appreciate the opportunity to attend the professional learning that they had there, and then also just the celebration. We had a nice photo that we'll be sharing in our flyer going out to the community here in December. Just again, it's real tribute to the staff, the leadership at Apple Valley, and the family engagement that we have there. Just a real positive experience. And we had a nice celebration on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving break, and had some nice media coverage of that as well. So it was just a good experience all around.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Board reports, board development. I have some remarks, but I have some remarks, but I'd like to give Mike or Dave one last chance to say anything that they'd like. And I know that Mr. Strong and I would like to say some words too, but we'd like you to go first, if you have any.
Oldest first.
I'd rather sit up here and let these folks think I'm stupid than open my mouth and prove it. Well, go ahead.
You're done? That's it?
Pretty much.
That's his report.
Well, mine too. I already said, thank you for 8 years. It's, being a principal and then being a school board person, they're two different worlds. And I didn't realize that. And I've always been fairly critical of school boards. As a principal, I really was upset that school boards in general, I felt were rubber stamps to the superintendent. And I didn't like that. And we have not been a rubber stamp to the superintendent. I think we've done a good job. And I've always measured what I do on if I've made a difference or not. And I think I did. And so I'm happy. And I'm going out wondering, like somebody told me, what are you going to do on Tuesday nights? I have no idea. But thank you for the experience.
Well, one thing about it, Mr. Jagger, is that, sitting up here in front of all these folks, we have to make the decisions based upon the best information and the amount of information we can. And I've yet to meet the person that likes to hear the word no. If that person exists, I've not met him yet.
Mr. Strong.
Okay. Well, I finally get to say goodbye to these two gentlemen. And I do want to start by saying it's, first of all, been a pleasure to work with you. I've actually learned quite a bit, probably more from you than you learned from me for sure. But, I was thinking about the kinds of things I'd like to say about you. And I tried to narrow it down because there's so many good things I can say. And I tried to pick out some of the most important things to me personally that stood out over the time that I've worked with you. So I'm going to start with Mr. Mokel, who isn't here today. I don't want him to be a forgotten soul just because he's not able to be here this evening. But I look back and think one of the things that he really brought to this group was his actual knowledge of education in general. I mean, there are so many things he referred to and forums that he knew about and different programs at the school district, not just ours, but others did. And so that was a very enlightening experience. And as I worked with him, I began to realize that this guy really knows what he's talking about. He knows his stuff. He didn't just, come here with, an agenda. He wanted to contribute his knowledge, and it paid off because it taught us some things that were helpful to us. And he will be missed, and certainly his contribution will never be forgotten, certainly amongst myself, but I think others here as well. And let's go next to Mr. Jager. So, it's funny, I think of Dave in so many nice ways of some of the things that he's done and some of his contributions. And I think of all the things that I look at is how willing and unafraid he is to always share his perspective on something. He will stand up or sit there and just say what's on his mind and express himself in a very, very constructive way. He always had something to say that made sense to me. And I really appreciate that about him. His overall perspective, he didn't always agree, and there are times when he did agree, but I think that's a healthy thing. That's always going to be needed in any group, in any organization where you have what I call constructive disagreement. It's easier to agree and get things done. It's harder when you disagree to come to agreement. And I think he's great at adding that perspective. So Dave, I want to thank you for my time on the board, that you've done that at just about every meeting I can remember. So thank you again. You will be missed as well. And let's talk about Mr. Meyer, 22-year man, 22 years old. Similar, Mike is somebody who will speak his mind regardless. He didn't think about what it meant to him or, what somebody else might think. He spoke from the heart, what was important to him and what he saw. And while I didn't always agree with him, and he and I will attest to that, we had our disagreements about things, often behind the scenes, but we always walked away able to shake hands and say, you know what, this was a good process. And I want to thank him for that, because it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that, because sometimes he was by himself or it was, uneven, more the other way than where he was going, but he never wavered from his belief. And that's important. You always have to feel that sense of conviction if you yourself are going to be persuaded to take an alternate point of view. So I want to thank you for that, Mr. Meyer. I really enjoyed working with you. And again, you will not be forgotten as well. So thank you for those, for my not quite 8 years yet, but six years that I've been on the board, that you shared your perspective with me as well. And to all three of you, but the two of you here, Dave kind of hit on my question I was going to ask you, but I phrased it a little different than what are you going to do with your Tuesdays. I said, what are you going to do? What is your first thing you're going to do with your first day off? So think about that. We'll be thinking about you as we meet and continue with the things we have to do here. But I do want to thank you for all your time and your service on the board. It was much appreciated. So good luck and best wishes.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Strong. I have a few words also, and much like Mr. Strong did, I'm going to have a couple words individually, but Mr. Strong did a marvelous job of capturing some of the things that were on my mind. First, I want to talk about Mark Mokel. I've known Mark basically since I came back to Yakima 23 years ago to start my practice. And when I came back to Yakima, we didn't have kids. I'm newly married. I really wanted to get back into basketball officiating, and so a former teacher in the West Valley School District, Ron Galbraith, who's instrumental in my officiating career, as well as my career as a high school and collegiate golfer, got me into the association here in Yakima, which is where I met Mark. And Mark, as a referee and getting to know Mark in that capacity, was unconditionally a teacher that cared about kids. He was a kid first guy. And that came shining through during his time as a school board member, that the perspective that Mr. Strong brought up as being a current in the classroom today educator, all of his comments were about kids and what was best for kids. And the technical expertise that he has of being a current teacher provided a lot of value for this school board, and his contributions will be missed. Dave, I'm so appreciative for the opportunity to have met you through this, to work with you for the last 8 years. As you mentioned, you had a variety in your career as an educator. You wore a variety of different hats, and those hats that you wore, as you would say in your former life, as an old middle school principal, or as an old special ed director, or as an old whatever, that added so much value to the discussions that we had, and even though at times you and I might have not seen perfectly eye to eye on an issue, I never once doubted that you said what you believed was in the best interest of the West Valley School District. I never once doubted that, and that ultimately had my respect and has my respect and my gratitude. So I'm grateful to you. You challenged me in a positive way. Personally, you challenged me in a positive way, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for our time together on the school board, Dave.
Thank you.
Mike, similarly, but different, when I came to the school board, I was really fortunate that I came to a school board that the people that were on the board, you included at the time, I just had so much reverence, so much respect for those people, and that continued through the times of us getting to know each other even better and working together. And the experiences that you've had throughout your life, both in the public sector and the private sector, have also served this board really well. And I'm gonna miss your self-deprecating comments. I'm gonna miss the friendly jabbing between you and Dave at times. But I'm most of all gonna miss your perspective, Mike. I always am impressed by how you had the pulse of our district, and you always did. And I don't know exactly what to attribute that to, other than you definitely cared about the school district, and I know you do care about this district, and I'm just grateful for all three of our outgoing school board members and the value that they added to this district, and to the value that they've added to me personally. So I from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. 22 years, 8 years, and even Mark's 2 years. That is a tremendous commitment that deserves everybody's respect, and my congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Before you move on, Mr. Thorner, maybe it's a little early, but while we say goodbye to our colleagues that are currently serving on the board, I do want to say welcome to the new members and congratulations on your election victory. I look forward to working with you, and I just want to say welcome and appreciate the fact that you actually made it here tonight and start the process now. So welcome.
That's well said, Mr. Strong. Thank you very much. And with that, we will adjourn the school board meeting.
All right.